Well, good morning, everyone. We get together with our distribution partners, clients, and prospective clients most weekday mornings, 8 o'clock Central via Zoom. Talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. A big part of what we do is financial literacy, helping individuals understand how to navigate the path to accessing capital to start or grow a business. And then secondly, working with those of you that are distribution partners to make the resources available in your community. Today's topic is about the Startup Business Funding Package, and we've repackaged it a bit. So today there's a couple announcements, some enhancements to discuss, but also a new landing page. So if you see in the top left-hand corner of the shared screen, you can see that we're on chapmanloanprogram.org. So just let me give you a little bit of background on the Chapman Loan Program before we proceed with talking about the Startup Business Funding Package. So the Chapman Loan Program began as a grant from the federal government to create a revolving loan fund. The grant was made possible by the hard work of then Congressman Jim Chapman, obviously why the Chapman name is included. It provides long-term financing to eligible businesses. Loan proceeds can be used for fixed assets, new construction, renovations, leased property, equipment, inventory, and working capital. And in some cases, even can be used to provide equity injections. So with that being said, let's talk about the proposition of the Startup Business Funding Package, again, found on chapmanloanprogram.org. So let's scroll down a bit. So through the grant that we applied for and received, the Startup Program is available. It's a turnkey resource to help new businesses position for fast funding. We have about, I think it's 15 minutes, if I recall, informational video that's here on the page that I encourage you to view if you've not done so. But let's go ahead and go through the highlights. What is included in the Startup Business Funding Package? Maybe before we get to the what, we should talk about the why. The reason for this offering is it provides specifically, exactly, precisely what's needed for a business to be credible for funding, whether it be through the Chapman Fund or frankly other sources. What we've discussed before, a lot of times the biggest barrier that entrepreneurs have is financial literacy. They don't know how to navigate the process. Furthermore, a lot of times the information they get are from others who are financially illiterate. Right? If you're looking for financial advice, you don't go to the broke guy or gal to get advice. So sometimes just access to relevant, accurate information is what's keeping many of these entrepreneurs from being able to get funded. Well, you and I can help overcome that. So that's why this is offered. It's specifically what's needed to have a credible business. Now let's go through the what. What is included? And every one of these bullets has a very specific reason for being part of this package. So let's go through each and make sure we're all clear of what is included. We start by providing each client a unique business address. So let's talk about that for a moment. Addresses matter. Because if we're using a post office box or a residential address or even a shared virtual address, that does not meet the credibility standards of most lenders, especially for larger amounts of funding. So what we provide, for how much? For free, is a unique business address. So that's the foundation of a successful business in terms of looking for a capital raise. It starts, as simple as that may sound, just with the address. Is the address credible? So that's where you and I start by providing this to the enrollees. Now, once we have the address, now we need to go ahead and go form the entity. So many people will do this backwards. I used to work for the SBA. And so often clients, well, before they were clients, but entrepreneurs would be so excited. They would do things backward. Either they would go get their EIN first. Well, I have an EIN, I have a business. No, you don't. Or they would go form their business, but they didn't have a credible address. That's horrible. Now we're in cleanup mode. We don't, spending money and time and energy cleaning something up is not a good use of time. We're better off to hit the reset button and form something new. All right, so we provide the business address we covered. Then for free, we'll do the filing with the Secretary of State. The grant covers the cost of the filing. So no, the participant doesn't have to go hire an attorney or LegalZoom or spend money. It's provided for free. Once we have the address, then we form the entity. Then we can get the EIN. So the EIN is kind of like the social security number for a business. So if you're a parent, I'm a parent of 4, you didn't go get a social security number before the baby was born, did you? No, we get the EIN after the business is formed. Well, why is that important? Well, because we need to make sure that the address is accurate. And then secondly, we want to make sure that the name is accurate. So we get the address first, then the name, then the EIN. Now we're technically open for business. So what we would do is then go open a business bank account. And then what we need to do is get the business to look credible on paper. Now, everything we talk about, of course, is legal and ethical, but we need to manipulate the profile of the business so it looks credible for funding. And it's no different than if you and I were at a local high school and we were talking to 18-year-olds. What do you need to do? Start building personal credit. Build your credit up. Same for the business. Now we have a business. We have the foundation of a credible business. Let's make sure that it looks credible from a lending perspective. So what we normally will do is help them add trade lines with no personal guarantees under their EIN. In other words, build out their business credit. There are 3 primary business credit bureaus: Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, and Equifax Business. We'll spend most of our effort building out their Dun & Bradstreet, D&B for short, so they have a credible PAYDEX score. PAYDEX scores go from 0 to 100. We just need to get it to 80 or above. And secondly, building out their Experian Intella score. That's what it's called, also on a 0 to 100 basis, getting it to 80. Businesses, when first formed, have a failing business credit profile. They'll have no score with PAYDEX, with Dun & Bradstreet, and they'll have probably a 27 or a 28 on that 0 to 100 scale with Experian. So they don't look credible. So what we want to do is go quickly, add some trade lines under the EIN without any PGs, no personal guarantees, and make sure they have at least an 80 PAYDEX score and 80 Intella score. And that can be done quickly. Also, what we're going to do is transfer assets. Now, this is what gets some people's heads rolling. It's like, what's this? I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense. So let's make sure that we're all on the same page of the relevance of this bullet, because it's probably the secret sauce if you wanted to drill down to it. All of these are the relevant, important factors to have a credible business for funding, but this bullet maybe is the least understood. So let's dig into it. So just because we have a good address, just because we have an entity that's in good standing, just because we have filed and have an EIN, and even we've formed a credit-worthy business profile, it's not enough. We need to show that the business is not insolvent. So what we do, and it's part of the reason we were awarded the grant, is that we innovatively and legally transfer assets. And I'll go through all the details and answer any questions you have, but we're going to transfer $10,000 of assets over immediately to the participant. This $10,000 in assets are considered current assets, which is specifically their receivables. So these are real receivables that then allows the client, which will help them, to post on their balance sheet. So now the company looks solvent. It looks like it has liquidity. It has positive book value. That's very important. So often we run into clients and sometimes even some of our distribution partners that say, oh, if it's a new business, the balance sheet doesn't matter. There's nothing on it. That's a horrible mistake to make. We need to stop taking advice from broke people. We need to stop taking advice from financially illiterate people. This is what it takes to follow a recipe to have a successful, credible business for funding. So we're going to, at no cost, transfer over these assets, the receivables, accounts receivables. We're going to put it on their balance sheet. Then what do? Well, then we can help them liquidate the receivables. And that shouldn't be a foreign concept, right? Anyone that owns a business, if you have someone that owes you money, what do? You need to collect that money. And we can do it for them, or they can do it for themselves. But regardless, it does immediately provide collateral for funding. And then, of course, we have the Chapman Fund, which is where we started the conversation. There are many, many, many different sources of funding to start or grow a business. There's SBA guaranteed loans and non-SBA. There's term loans. There's lines of credit. I guess there's credit cards. We don't get involved with that much. There's merchant cash advances, which we're not involved with that much. But there are some unique funding sources that are from taxing authorities. So what does that mean? Well, most of us don't like paying taxes, right? We'd rather not. We wish there weren't taxes. But sometimes taxes are put to good use, right? Like they build roads and highways, they build schools, and then some geographic areas takes tax money and they reinvest it back into the community to create businesses and jobs. And that's what the Chapman Loan Program does. So the Chapman Loan Program has many advantages. There are probably two disadvantages that you should know about, because I don't think anything in life is perfect. The first of which, as we very clearly disclose, it has a hard cap of $250,000. So no matter how credible your business is, that's the most that they'll give you. Now, of course, we could form different businesses and get a cumulative build. But more importantly, or more relevantly, what we typically would do is get a tranche or round of funding from the Chapman Fund, and then we could then move on to another tranche of other type of funding that doesn't have such a small cap. So that's one disadvantage. The range is from $30,000 to $250,000. The max is $250,000. The other disadvantage that you should know is it is from a taxing authority, which means it's geographically based. Well, I guess that kind of makes sense. That's what we've been talking about. But to no surprise, that's what we do. When we're providing that unique business address, we're providing an address that is in the taxing district to qualify geographically for the Chapman Fund. So the bottom line is we can help businesses get positioned for funding with no risk. With this new landing page, again, chapmanloanprogram.org, we've simplified it. It's a two-step process to qualify. The first step is to view the training video, which is here. And frankly, what you and I have covered is pretty much what's on that training video, but we do ask participants to acquaint themselves so we're all on the same page. And then we make it real simple and very transparent. Right here, step 2, clients can enroll literally by clicking on that button. If they need more information, they're not ready to enroll yet, then they can put in their name, their email, their phone. We have a great referral program, which I want to talk about for a moment. On the referral side, there's 2 ways that you can help small businesses through the business startup program. Number 1 is you could just simply refer them in. And if you refer them in, we can allocate from the startup grant $250 to you if they enroll. So you could just simply bring them to the chapmanloanprogram.org, submit them in, list yourself as the referral source, and then if they participate, then you would receive $250. Not a big deal, but not bad for just a referral. Then we have what we call our branch offices, where we're doing a 50-50 split. So obviously that would generate more income for you. Also of great importance, we now have financing available for the startup business funding package. That really wasn't so much available before, but it is now. And we have a link for financing right here under the resources on the same page. Just so you know, this link here is the same as this link, so there's no difference. That's just two opportunities for them to click to actually enroll if they want. Once they've enrolled, then they can qualify. They can apply for financing. Now, the financing is greater than just, it would provide them some additional first tranche of working capital above and beyond the cost of enrolling. So the startup business funding package is not free. It's greatly subsidized, but it's not free. And it's not free for a couple reasons. There's a lot of value. There's a lot of cost. I mean, we're providing them more in value immediately than they're paying. We've talked before in some of our trainings on just building business credit out. There's different programs in the marketplace. Some are inexpensive, some are more expensive. I think probably the leading organization nationally for helping small businesses build business credit is a company called Credit Suite, S-U-I-T-E. Great company, have nothing but positive things to say about them. But you would pay, I think on average, at least it was $3,000 to $4,000 to work through them just on one bullet. And of course, we're providing a broader spectrum. So let's open it up for questions, comments, concerns. You can type it into the Q&A of the chat box, of the message box on Zoom. What questions do any of you have about the startup business funding package, about the Chapman Fund, about the value proposition? All right, so Timothy has the first question. He's asking, is there an agreement for enrolling in the program? And the answer is yes. Now, we were doing it kind of informally before, but yes. But I can even click on it for you. So let's click on this link, and it's going to bring up the enrollment form. So again, we're very transparent. It's not like there's some password you have to have. So if you click on it, it'll bring it up. It includes a flyer. Now, I can provide you a copy of this flyer. If you want to be a referral partner, then we'll provide you this flyer in editable format, because you would want to obviously edit the call to action to be your information. At the bottom of the flyer then is actually the enrollment form. So everything is right there for the client to enroll in. So it's all right there. Okay, so that was Timothy's question, which was, is there an agreement? And the answer is yes. And you can find it by clicking on step 2 here, or under resources, it's the same. If you are a branch partner, what we call private label, then we can provide you an editable version of the agreement so they could contract through you if you wish. All right, other questions. Gino asked about cost. So, and Gino's smart, because he's asking not just cost, but he's asking what's the total cost. And so there is a $2,000, I guess I can't highlight on it, a $2,500 enrollment fee that can be financed. How can it be financed? Over here, right? But to answer Gino's question, so it's $2,500. If you are one of our private label branches, we split that 50-50. So you would make $1,250 for getting a client under contract. If you just simply want to be a referral partner and just refer folks in, then the grant will pay you $250. So all you would do is submit your leads here, put your name on referred by, and then when the client enrolls, you would get $250. So obviously the branch partners with the 50-50 split is earning more. Harriet asked, can you refer yourself? Yes. Yeah. So you could be a branch partner and then turn around and refer yourself and then make half of that. Okay, Audrey asked, is there a monetary benefit for branches? Well, let's go back to Gino's question, because I think I did a poor job on it. I think what Gino was inferring, and I wasn't direct enough, is there any other cost other than this? And the answer is no, because I think what he was implying is there some sort of performance fee, some sort of back-end fee? And the answer is no. There is no performance fee. Doesn't mention any performance fee here, doesn't mention it anywhere here, doesn't mention it in the video, and there's no performance fee in the agreement. So no, there's no performance fee. All right. So I think that's also Audrey's question. Not Audrey, let me know. Adam asked about financing. That's great. So for financing, we would have a client click here, and well, I'll even click here, so it brings it up. So it's a different form stack. It's going to come up, and they're going to fill out an application. On the application, the top half is business information. Now, I know this may sound contradictory. It's like, well, Tom, if it's a brand new business, they haven't formed yet, they wouldn't have business information, and that's true, but maybe they have a different business. But anyway, it's optional. So the top part is optional, and then the bottom half is the key person. In other words, the individual. It's not optional. So when you see the little asterisks, those are needed. So the answer, Adam, is the client or the prospective client would come over here, click this link. It's going to give them the app. This app will come in, and we'll be able to get them funding offers. There's no hard inquiries. There's no upfront cost. Thank you, Adam, for that question. But I guess Adam's question was more than that. What's the financing going to look like? Well, we don't know, right? Because they got to fill out the app, and then we get them funding offers that they can choose from. But I don't know offhand what their funding offers. They might qualify for 10,000 or 100,000 or 1,000. I don't know. We'll have to see, right? They're going to have to fill out the app so we can get them funding offers. We're not the lender. All right. Owner asks, let's go back to the main page. What types of business can qualify? Well, I'm going to answer that a couple different ways. I mean, technically, we're forming the business. So to begin with, there is no business. We're actually forming the business here in the second bullet. But he is right, or she is right. Forgive me, I don't know which gender owner is. But owner is right that there are some prohibited businesses, some prohibited industries, child porn, human trafficking, fentanyl distribution. So, but it's kind of obvious. I don't think there's going to be any surprises. But you're right. If owner, if it's illegal. Owner then asks, can franchises qualify? Yes. Yeah, franchise financing is some of the best, because we can get the first tranche through the Chapman Fund, and then we can piggyback around and get an SBA guaranteed loan, especially if the franchise is on the SBA list. There's a list of approved franchises that the SBA manages. But yes, franchises would be fine. All right. Owner is asking also what the total cost is, and so we've covered that. Let's go back over here just so we're all on the same page. So the total cost is negative, right? There's really no cost to the client, because we're giving them 10,000 of assets immediately when they enroll, but they are paying the $2,500 enrollment fee. And then half of that goes to the branch, if you're a branch referring someone in, or if you're just simply referring someone in at large, then you'd get $250. But again, the cost, there's no hidden cost. I appreciate you all following up, but there is no hidden cost. This is it. This is it. It's a one-time $2,500 enrollment fee. It can be financed, and we have a finance app that's linked right here on the same page. So no surprises. All right, let's see what the next question is. Tina asked, and this is a really good question. Tina asked, does the client have to pay any additional cost when building business credit? I want to be careful when I answer that. So they would not pay an additional cost to us. But let's say that we get the client, we're adding out trade lines under the business credit. Let's say they get an automobile. I bought an automobile under my EIN to build my business credit. Many of you have probably done the same. So let's just use that as an example. It sounds kind of silly, but it's answering Tina's question. So if you go get an automobile under the EIN, you'll need to pay, well, the client will need to pay the payments each month. I know that sounds sarcastic, but it's not. So, the whole concept of building business credit is that you apply for it, you get approved for it, and then you use it. Let's say instead it's a gas card at 7-Eleven. Well, then, yeah, they would have to pay their cost charged to their gas card. So I just always want to be very careful. So no, we're not charging extra. That's why it says free. But if the client uses business credit, then of course they would need to pay the bills that they have incurred. Hopefully that seems obvious, but we don't charge extra for that. Let's see here. We've got quite a few questions. We're running low on time. Owner asks, can foreign nationals qualify? And the answer is yes. Sylvia says, never mind. Let's see. Ken says, if the client's income is only workers' comp, would they still qualify? And the answer is yes. We have a number of clients that are on workers' comp or Social Security, disability, what have you. So that's not a problem. Andrea is one of our branches, so she's asking about the same sign-up page. So no, normally for our branches, we would provide you an editable version, of the flyer, and we can provide you an editable version of the agreement. And so normally our branches get the client under contract, and normally the branches collect the funds from the client, which is different than just a referral partner or what we call the affiliate. So any of you who are branches, follow up with us if you don't have the resources you need. What are the resources that you would need? A copy of this flyer so you can edit the call to action to be your information, and a copy of the agreement. So if you don't have that in your branch, let us know, and we'll take care of that. Trevor asked a good question, time frame. So let's break that down. So time frame. So we can normally get the unique business address set up typically same day, within 24 hours normally. As far as getting it filed with the Secretary of State varies. We've seen them do approvals and issue an entity in the same day. Around the holidays, it can be a little longer. On average, let's just say 7 days for the state. But don't hold me accountable for that, because the state controls their own processing. We can get the EIN very quickly, less than 1 day. If any of you have done this, it's free and easy. It takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Building out the business credit is the longer portion of the process. Now, we have some clients that are in a hurry, so they don't want to wait for this. But building business credit normally is about a 30 to 60 day process, right? Because we have to make sure our profiles are set up good with Dun & Bradstreet, Experian Business, etc. And that's just making sure that everything that they have on record is accurate and complete. Then we apply for the trade lines, we get approved for the trade lines, and then we need the trade lines to post. So typically this is the longest phase of the process. Typically this is 30 to 60 days, but theoretically it's optional. If we didn't want to wait for this, we could skip it, but then obviously the business doesn't look as strong on paper. But that is the longest lag of all of these bullets. We'll provide the assets over right away, so that's not a delay. And then the Chapman Fund's not a delay. So the answer to your question is, If we're doing all of these steps, then we're normally looking at the biggest delay being in building out the business credit, which we normally would anticipate 30 to 60 days to get the business credit trade lines opened and reporting. Thank you, Trevor, for that question. But for those of you that are branch offices, this is a no-brainer. This is what's typically missing from most clients, is first the knowledge of, oh, I need to have a credible looking business on paper. And then secondly, kind of a quick business in a box type of approach. I mean, this provides from A to Z what that business needs to be credible for funding. This is really the secret sauce, the missing ingredient that most entrepreneurs need. Now, the argument could be, what if they already have a business? Well, great. If they already have a business that's credible, then they don't need to do this. But they might already have a business that's not so credible, and it's easier to just hit the reset button and do the capital raise off of this and let their existing business stay as it is and use the new business for the capital raise. That's very common because, as I mentioned earlier in the call, and I wasn't exaggerating, for instance, on the business credit, which was actually what was just highlighted, to go clean up a mess is time consuming, it's draining, it's inefficient. If a client doesn't have this all set up with their current business, I would just have them enroll in this and let's just do the capital raise off of this, not meant to disrupt their current operations. But you're right, if they already have a business that meets all these criteria, then they're ready to go. And in that case, if they want assistance, they could just go ahead and apply for financing. All right, well, we've got a few questions I didn't get to, but we are running a little bit long. So I'm going to wrap it up for today, but let's just summarize. So we have made some exciting enhancements to the startup business funding package. It is now reflected on this landing page called chapmanloanprogram.org. It's just a simple one page. It's all there is. It's not multiple pages to the website. What it does is it gives a concise description of what's included. It provides access to a brief training video to give an in-depth description. It provides a very convenient way to enroll. By clicking on this button, it brings up the enrollment form. And if they need financing, now provides very easy access for financing. So we hope that this has been helpful. If you're a small business yourself looking to raise capital, I encourage you to consider this. If you're looking to generate income by helping others, we have two ways you can do that: as just a referral partner / affiliate, or as a branch office. The branch offices we do a 50-50 split with. So think about that for a moment. Most businesses need this, and as a branch, you could be generating $1,250 for each one that you refer in. Now, we do all the work. You don't have any work to do. Just get them under contract as a branch and submit it in. So to do one a day is entirely reasonable. You could probably have some workshops and generate 10 a day. But even if you just help one new business start up per day, 30 days in the month, times 1,250, you're at what, around 35, 40,000 as a side income with literally no work, no implementation responsibilities. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Let us know what we can do to assist you. We'll see you back on training tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.